Konnichiwa, Cello Sensei desu. Hello, if you are learning Japanese from zero, stick around because this series of videos I will make it for you. Somebody who is still not familiar reading hiragana, so we will have the ROMAJI, which is the alphabet on top, but that will also help you to learn how to read hiragana, katakana, and kanjis, and also to actually learn vocabulary. As in Japanese, we don't have space between words as we do in English, Spanish, and other languages. So it can be quite intimidating when we are learning to know when a certain word begins and finishes. So the Romaji on top of the dialogue will help you to memorize the words as well. I will be explaining in details, and each lesson we will be focusing only in one dialogue. The dialogue will be taken from the questions listening tests level 5 of the JLPT test, the Nihongo no Ryoku Shiken, which is a very important test. If you are serious about learning Japanese, you should definitely, try to take it in the future. But as a beginner, it can be quite challenging to study and even prepare for the test. So with this material, I will help you to learn from zero. Okay, so today's dialogue is this one. Hi. So today the situation is 男の人と女の人が話しています。So 男の人 is a man, right? 男 male, 人 person. To means and. 女の人 is female, a woman, right? 女 is woman, 人 person, so a woman. が話しています。So they are talking. A man and a woman are talking. Now, the question that we want to know the answer from this dialogue is 二人は何時に会いますか? So 二人. This is the character, is the kanji for person, right? So as you can see, in Japanese, each character has different ways of reading. We call it on and kun, right? But for example, hito is when you read the kanji alone, that's hito. But when you combine, right, with other kanjis, this could be nin. In this case, it's very regular. When you combine with the number two, then we read it futai. But the meaning is quite obvious, right? Even if you don't know how to read, you would understand that it means two people, right? Futari. So, futari wa meaning the two people, the man and the woman. Nanji ni, at what time, right? So, ni would be like at what time. Nanji. The character for nam or nani means what, right? And ji is the kanji for time. Jikan meaning hour, right? So that's the character that we use. So therefore, nanji ni means at what time? Arimasu ka? Will they meet, right? So au is the verb to meet someone. So arimasu, awanai, atte. So in this case, arimasu ka. Remember that the hiragana ka at the end of a sentence means question, basically, right? It's a question mark. So, what time will the man and the woman, the two people, meet, right? And the answers that we have here, the options are goji, 5 o'clock, rokuji, 6 o'clock, right? Rokuji han, 6:30. So, hang is the character for half, right? So an hour and a half, right? Half an hour would be 30 minutes. So rokuji han would be 6 hours and a half, right? Rokuji han, 6:30 when we're talking about o'clock timing, or shichiji, 7 o'clock. Okay, so we have this four options. So let's look at the dialogue. First, A says, こんばん一緒にご飯を食べませんか? So, こんばん is tonight, okay? こんばん is the kanji for night, And kon is the kanji for now, right? We also read it ima, ima wa, right? Now. So konban is like this night, tonight. So tonight, ishoni, together, right? Ishoni means together. Memorize as a set, ishoni. We usually use it ishoni, always with any. So together, gohan wo. So gohan means meal. It could also mean rice alone, but in this case specifically, also like meal, like a whole meal, right? Like dinner. We could actually translate it as dinner. O tabemasen ka? So taberu, right? Tabemasu is the verb to eat. Now you ask me, Cello, why is the masenka, right? The masen, the negative, because in English would translate as wouldn't you like to, so negative, but to inquire if they want to actually go for dinner, right? So, tabemasen ka? Wouldn't you have dinner, right? With together tonight. So that will be the translation. 今晩一緒にご飯を食べませんか? Let's read it one more time. 今晩一緒にご飯を食べませんか? And then B says, いいですね. いいですね. So いい means good. This is yes, it is, right? And ne here is just basically agreeing with, the suggestion or what was said, right? いいですね. So in this case, I would translate as, oh, that sounds good, kind of a, meaning. And then A says, じゃあ ja in Japanese would be something like, wow, in that case, or so. じゃあ、仕事が終わってから駅で会いましょう. So, 仕事 means work or job. 終わって、ね、終わって comes from the verb 終わる, which is to end, to finish. 終わる、終わります、終わらない、終わって、ね. So, 終わってから. Kara means from, like from A to B. So, from the moment I finish work, that would be the meaning here. 終わってから, as soon as I finish work, 仕事が終わってから、駅で会いましょう. Let's meet, right? So, 会いましょう comes from the verb 会う, 会います. So, is to meet someone. And when you change the masu form for masho, it becomes um, it becomes the meaning of let's, blah, 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 the meaning of the verb, right? So in this case, let's meet up. Let's meet up. Aimasho at the station. So eki means station. So de here would be at, right? So eki de aimasho. Let's meet up at the station as soon as we're done with work. 6時はどうですか? How about 6 o'clock? ね、6時はどうですか? どう means how about? What do you think? It's like asking for somebody's opinion, right? You could be wearing something and say, これはどう? Meaning, how do you like this, right? What I'm wearing. So, どう is how about? What do you think? And they are suggesting a time, right? 6時. So, how about 6? And then B says, すみません, meaning I'm sorry, right? I'm sorry. 今日は today, 今日はちょっと, ちょっと means a little, right? 忙しい, 忙しい. 忙しい means busy, right? So in Japanese, you might feel a little bit strange, but we don't really say the subject, right? Watashi, in this case, is I am busy. We wouldn't say watashi wa isogashi. We just say isogashi. We know that the person is talking about themselves. So this person is saying, today I am busy. 今日はちょっと忙しい. Right? I am a bit busy. ですから, this means it is, right? So if you combine this with から, we translate as therefore, for that reason, ですから、6時は難しいです。6 o'clock is 難しい。Right? It is 難しい。What is 難しい? Difficult. Right? Japanese is difficult. 日本語が難しい。Right? Or 漢字 are difficult. Right? 漢字が難しい。Okay? So in this case, meeting at 6 o'clock, it's difficult or it will be difficult because I'm busy, right? At work. So they say 6時は難しいですね。6時は難しいです。And then A says, well, in that case, 1時間ぐらい遅い時間にしましょうか。ね、1時間、1 hour. 時間 is hour, right? So 1 hour. ぐらい or くらい without the ten means approximately or about, around, right? So 遅い means late, or in this case, later. So 遅い時間 a time or an hour later. にしましょうか。しましょう, as we saw here, 会いましょう is the let's blah 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 form. But in this case, it's combined with the verb します, which means to do something. So let's do that. Or how about if we do that 1 hour later? So that means that this person first suggested meeting at 6 o'clock, right? But because the other person said that that would be difficult, then I say, well, in that case, how about if we meet an hour later? 1時間ぐらい遅い時間にしましょうか? So B says, いいえ、30分で大丈夫です。いいえ means no, is the opposite of はい, right? Yes. So いいえ no. 30分で so in 30 minutes or 30 minutes 大丈夫です. So 大丈夫 means it's alright or it's fine. In this case, it would be more like it's enough, right? So B is saying we don't need to, make it later an hour, meet up an hour later. 30 minutes extra would be enough, right? So いいえ、30分で大丈夫です. So A says, そうですか? わかりました. Meaning, oh, is that so? Is that right? そうですか? そうですか? わかりました is the past tense of わかる わかります which is to understand, but in this case, it's more like I got it. Then I understood, I got it. So, therefore, the answer is what time are they are meeting is not at 6 o'clock, but 30 minutes later. So it's number 3, right? 6時半に会う。ね。6時半に会います。2人は。We will meet up at 6:30. Okay? So let's listen now to the conversation and read along to practice our listening test.
2番、
男の人と女の人が話しています。二人は何時に会いますか？
今晩、一緒にご飯を食べませんか？
いいですね。
じゃあ、仕事が終わってから駅で会いましょう。6時はどうですか？
すみません。今日はちょっと忙しいですから、6時は難しいです。
そうですか。じゃあ、1時間ぐらい遅い時間にしましょうか。
いいえ、30分で大丈夫です。
そうですか。わかりました。
二人は何時に会いますか？
Alright, so I hope you enjoyed this lesson. If you did, please leave a thumbs up, leave a comment, like to know where you guys are learning Japanese from. If you have any questions, feel free to also leave in the comments. And the next video, the next dialogue, focusing on you who are learning Japanese from zero, will be coming out next Saturday. Okay, so I'm planning to post these videos, one dialogue every weekend. So that way I can help you to learn Japanese from the very beginning. If you're already in a more intermediate level, feel free to check the description of this video where you will find a link for the other levels. I have tons of materials, also the listening practice for all the levels in the Japanese test. So that can be very useful for you. But I hope you enjoyed this video. Okay? それではまた See you next week. Bye bye!